Are you looking to promote your business? Perhaps a video for your website? Or maybe just a story to tell? If so, then you are a name to know. I am your host, Alicia Figueras, and A Name to Know provides a stimulating 10-minute interview for your business. For more information, give us a look at anametoKnow.com. Why? Because you are a name to know. Welcome to A Name to Know. I'm your host, Alicia Figueras. I have two beautiful women with me this morning that have an organization called World Adhesion's Foundation. Welcome, Augusta and Melissa. Welcome to A Name to Know.
Thank you for having us.
I cannot believe the work that you've been doing throughout the years, and I am so impressed with the efforts of your organization. Tell me more about it.
The World Adhesion Foundation I started 15 years ago because the way I was treated by the medical community, I was a surgical nurse, so the way I was treated by the medical community, which you would think would be nice to their own, they are not. They are just like any other firm or business, and there was no information out there. I went to have surgery at a hospital, and I was actually on an OR schedule, and to have adhesions removed. And I had like adhesions 6 months, 6 months out, 6 months. Every 6 months they were acting up, and they would have to go in. And they would have to open to do that surgery. Back then they just were starting to learn the laparoscopic surgery. And the surgeon called me the night before and said, we have to have you go up and talk to the head of the department. I was like, fine, no problem. I went by myself, thinking it was going to be fine. And it turned out to be, he says, adhesions don't cause pain, you're not blocked, so we're not doing the surgery and we're dismissing you. So I said, well, where can I go? What can I do? And they sent me to Johns Hopkins, which when I called Johns Hopkins, there was absolutely no one there to direct me. And I was down to 98 pounds back then because I couldn't eat any solid foods. I was on a liquid diet. So eventually I had found a group that was, I could find out some information. And I worked with them for a while. And that was a for-profit group. And so basically, I was doing all this stuff that I would do as volunteering and not getting any of the benefits of helping others. I mean, I would help them, but not really help anybody else. So I decided that I was in the hospital supposed to be a special surgeon. So we went all the way out to Scranton, Pennsylvania. I had also had a prior surgery with him in New York City on Fifth Avenue. And we had to pay additional money plus our insurance. So I probably spent about $40,000 in a year or more. And so we had gone out to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and they told us to stay in a hotel. And my husband ended up spending there two weeks because I went into ICU. And this doctor was promoting himself as an adhesion specialist. There is no adhesion specialist out there. There are none. There are ones to still claim that they're adhesion doctors, but you have to really study these and teach the medical community, new surgeons about this, the general practitioner about this. So like I was saying, going back to this, my husband I went into ICU and was actually put on 60 pounds of fluid, and they had to go back in. That surgery actually took like 24 hours or something like that. I was under anesthesia because they were doing it laparoscopically, taking it down. And I went back to my room, and then I ended up putting fluid on my legs, and so I it was actually Christmas Eve, and my sister had come in, brought my parents in, because my husband kept telling me I was turning for the worst. And so the doctor decided to do another surgery because he had nicked the bowel, and he had made he had nicked the bowel, and he had made basically a black and blue on the inside, and that was causing all the problems. And so we went in for another surgery, and they called basically everybody in to say goodbye because I wasn't going to make it. And I swore to our good Lord above that if I was to get out of this place, I would go home and start a nonprofit foundation. After 6 weeks that I could start driving and things like that, I went and found an attorney, found an accountant, and it's history.
Good for you. Good for you. Unbelievable. So do you have many clients that you service?
I help patients when they call. I get them from all over the country, all over the world. I've had patients that have called me that have deep depression and want to kill themselves because the doctors aren't believing them. And that's very difficult to work with, as you know. It takes a lot of time. It's very stressful, and you have to make sure that you have another number to get a hold of the police and all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to be liable for giving them any wrong information, but you don't want them to hurt themselves.
So what is your mission with the foundation?
The foundation is basically to educate the medical community, educate the general public, and then support the patients and support each other. We've known each other for 15 years, and Melissa had called me. I just started the foundation, and she's telling me the horrible story she was going through, and I just said, hey, we're like sisters, and we are. So we are Adhesion sisters.
Have you gotten any support from local elected officials?
Yes, Senator Laval had donated $10,000 about 5 years ago, but the market tanked, so I've been doing everything myself. Unfortunately, I'm on disability. I didn't want to go on disability. I fought it all the way, and even to get disability, there was no, you couldn't get adhesions on disability. So it took me 3 years to get it. And I'll never forget my father-in-law saying, you're not going to get it, on adhesions. And by God, I did.
Wow.
It took 3 years, but I
3 years. Unbelievable. How do you market yourself? How do you let the public know that you have this foundation?
With Facebook.
We Facebook. We definitely do a lot of Facebook. Hand cards out at events. And if somebody, and Lorinda, my marketing person, New York Introduction, she markets she takes care of the Facebook, the Twitter, and all that.
All your social media.
Yeah.
Very
And she's
nice.
great, yeah.
Do you keep up with social media yourself?
Yes, I'm on there every day.
Good for you.
Every day I'm on there. I have patients in England, in Australia, and just all over the place. And I have this one girl who's a young mom, and she's going through some tough times, and she's looking kind of back at her life and saying, I dreamt of this and I dreamt of that. And I said to her, dreams do come true. You can wish on a dream. I said, but you can make that dream come true too.
That's right.
You just have to put your whole body and soul into taking that vision and running with it.
What's been your most challenging experience with the foundation?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything. Grant writers. Grant writers. That's what I really need.
Okay.
A good grant writer that's not going to break my shoes.
Okay.
But do it or do anything that if they went and did some I forget the word, like pro bono, that's it.
Okay.
If they did some pro bono work. So let's say if we got, a wonderful grant for, $10,000, she'd get a portion of that.
Right.
Or if we got one for, 50,000, she'd get a portion of that.
And you're assuming it's going to be a woman, right?
No. It doesn't have to be, but it would be cool if it was.
Because we get her done.
Get her done, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So, and what's been your most memorable moment with this foundation in regards to the clients that you're reaching out to and helping?
I think it's just the support that you get from actually speaking to someone else who you don't have to explain it to. Just for once being able to say, I have this thing, I hear you, I've been there,
Right.
That not being alone in the world. Because it's not a well-known disorder. It's not like if you said you had leukemia or you said you had cancer, people know what that is.
Right, I'd
You say,
never heard of it.
If you say I
Yeah.
have adhesions,
You're like, huh?
nobody knows, and then you have to explain it.
Right.
And then people will argue with you. Scars don't hurt.
How can
do
scars hurt?
Scars
Internal
do hurt.
scars hurt.
Melissa, tell me your story.
Oh, the short version is after the birth of my second child, I was filled with scar tissue, and of course, they didn't tell me that. And I spent a year being diagnosed with everything from multiple sclerosis to actually being insane. They told me that I had a type
That's
of
the other one.
Munchausen's where I was jealous of my own child, the attention my child was getting, so I created an illness. The surgery, a few surgeries later, I actually had a doctor who said, I took pictures and showed me pictures. This is what's inside you. You're not crazy.
Yeah.
It was wonderful because
You were-
after a while, I was doubting my own sanity.
Yeah. You think you're absolutely going crazy the way they make you think. Your general physician, and your surgeon, they're getting a little bit better because I'm out there, we're trying to work with Stony University to teach the students about people like us, that you can't physically see what's wrong with us unless we were to take a bikini and go out on the beach.
Right.
And because then you can see our scars.
So what are the symptoms?
For me, it was a lot of digestive issues, a lot of abdominal pain.
Pain. Oh, the pulling and the tugging.
Horrible.
Horrible. I mean, you
The
couldn't.
nausea.
Nausea. You couldn't eat. I mean, we so wanted to eat, and we were called anorexic. There's no such thing that adhesions cause pain. There's no way, because adhesions don't have pain. Well, yes, they do. Adhesions start to grow within the first 24 hours of surgery. And that's the red blood cells and the white blood cells going around doing their thing. And they start to grow. And what happens is they think of like a spider or Spider-Man going like, and what this happens is they're like little spider webs at first. And they'll hook themselves to an organ or the
abdominal wall.
The abdominal wall, which was my big one. They'll attach to the abdominal wall, and they'll tug. You take like
So every movement.
you make, it pulls. It pulls.
You have pain on one
One
side
side.
coming from the other side.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, and all you're doing is rubbing, and you can't make it go away. And unfortunately, the radiographics, the X-rays now, which were horrible back then because you couldn't see them. You can see them. You really can't see adhesions because they're clear.
Transparent.
They're transparent. They're thin. And what I was trying to say before was that these things grow and grow and grow, and they'll get the size of a rubber band. And they'll end up with nerve supply, so there's your pain.
Wow.
Blood supply, there's your growth and pain. And so these doctors are reluctant to, give you any pain medication or have you have any surgery to go in, because they'll say, oh, well, if we have adhesions, they'll grow more. And okay, well, yes, they do, and they come back with a vengeance, you know. And they, especially women, we tend to get more scar tissue than men. It's because we have more parts, we have more organs.
Right.
And female parts, as the ovaries, as you know, like to mess up. They like to do their thing and put a nice little cyst on the ovary, and which we've all had, and they hurt like hell. Well, try to take that kind of pain, and that's what you have every day. That's what you wake up with. That you can't sleep, and you get into this horrible pattern. And your family members don't understand. They think you're lying to get attention, and your husband thinks, you know, you're not loving your husband the way you're supposed to love your husband, and you're quiet.
Friends abandon you.
And you know, to love and caress your husband is just natural, and you want to do that, and unfortunately you can't do that because. You're getting the tugging and the pulling, and it's just incredible. So you're not trying to push away, but they see it as being pushed away. So men will actually leave women because of this problem, because they think they don't want them. You know, what did I do? And it's just horrible.
Ladies, have you ever thought about, researching the holistic route?
Of course. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Reiki is one of them. And going and getting a massage sometimes helps.
Good.
Also, getting up and getting your hair done is one of the best things you can do. If you have depression, which is another thing we didn't that we get because no one's listening to us and we're in pain and we can't seem to get, it's a nasty little role. And just getting up and going and getting your hair done is the best gift you can do. And the Reiki as well is one of the best gifts you can do.
Is the medical field respecting your efforts?
Yes and no, but mostly yes.
Mostly yes,
yes, good. Mostly yes, because now now that I'm there, they're respecting it.
Okay, great.
You want to take adhesions from your surgeon's dirty little secret to exposure. It needs to be exposed.
Wow.
We
This
want
can
to
happen to you. It happened to us. It can happen to anybody.
It can happen to your mom. My mom had them as well, had scar tissue, and because her womb was tipped and she couldn't give birth, so they did a surgery back in 1950 that they brought up her uterus, and that way she could have children, but she always had adhesions. And it's funny how we're not sure if it's hormonal or if it's from passing on from women to women or men to men. And men can get it as well. So, but again, this is the surgeon's little dirty little secret, and we're gonna expose this little puppy.
That's amazing. This is great information because people can easily get misdiagnosed.
Yes.
So I appreciate your foundation. And ladies,
thank
thank you
you
so much for being here. And your website is worldadhesionsfoundation.org. Great. And give me a phone number.
We are 631-921-7426.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Oh,
Thank you for having me.
us.
Melissa and Augusta, definitely two names to know.